Well, when we say celebrate, I believe that maybe the word should be used cautiously.
Yeah.
Is it that we're celebrating, or we're just trying to look at the issues, surrounding the African child? For instance, UNICEF, their theme for this year is empowerment and equal opportunity.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's a celebration. I would say that was looking forward to what can be done to make the African child better. But how is you are Action Aid's coordinator of humanitarian response in Northeast Nigeria. What are some of the challenges facing the children in this regard?
Yeah, for me, let me first of all talk on the issue of celebration and no celebration. It will be better said you want to commemorate the day.
Commemorate, yes.
Yeah. Don't talk about celebration when we have so many issues. In Northeast, for instance, there are a lot of challenges an average child is confronted with. For 2 good calendar years, no child goes to school in Borno State, for instance, because all the schools were being used as IDP
camps, yes.
And except the private schools. And how many parents can afford to pay that? You have quite a number of these girls that are being sexually abused because of the condition that they found themselves. And within camp and the host community, they are subject to a whole lot of abuse, and most especially the girl child. If you look at the percentage of children in the displaced persons, 60% of the displaced persons in Northeast are children. And out of these displaced, 54% of these children are girls. So you can see the number of girls that are being abused. You can see the number of children that are being subjected to inhuman behavior, human activity due to the failure of governance of the system of the policymakers.
Okay, right. I know that I keep going back to UNICEF. Sorry. Yeah. I know that they are launching a Girls for Girls initiative to mark, the Day of the African Child. What's Action Aid doing?
For Action Aid, we have what we call a Mothers Club in the communities where we support. We have an initiative that we call a community child sponsorship, and which is a means by which an average Nigerian contribute not more, it could be more, but minimum of 2,000 naira per month. And this aggregation of this fund is used to support African child in very remote countries, communities across Nigeria. And today it's being commemorated across all those major schools where we support an Nigerian child by the Mothers Club, who are campaigning and advocating for right to education and health for an African child.
Well, it's been over 3 years now since we had the kidnapping of the Chibok schoolgirls by the Boko Haram insurgency. Thankfully, some have regained their freedom, and many others have not. They were kidnapped when they were still children. Some are still children. Some probably have become adults by now. But, what are your thoughts on this? What should we really be doing to get those girls back? It's good that, the government negotiated, but what else can we do?
Well, for me, I think getting those girls back, to a large extent, we'll still have to go back to negotiation table. But the question is, what type of negotiations are we having with the insurgents? That is also a subject for another day, for discussion for another day. Because if the kind of negotiation you are having is going to further put the country back into conflict. I was in Borno last week. For 24 hours, the whole town was shut down by insurgents. And depending on the kind of negotiation we have, yes, we all want to have the children back, but the government should also be cautious the kind of negotiation that we are having with the insurgents.
Right, thank you so much for your thoughts on this. Ipwade Omilaje, thank you for your time on Network Africa.
Thank you.
Moving on now, the Central Africa University lecturers in Chad are on strike over pay and working conditions. Negotiations with the government have hit an impasse, leaving students in uncertainty and an education system that's suddenly in crisis.
At the University of N'Djamena, students sit outside empty lecture halls in the hope that some lecturers might defy the strike action. Students say they are trying to catch up with the 2015-2016 academic year after strikes by both students and teachers in the last year interfered with classes.
I'm really worried. It's been over 2, 3 or 4 weeks that professors stopped teaching because the government does not have the will to respond to their grievances.
But Chad's government says it does not have the money to pay the lecturers. The economy of the landlocked country relies largely on oil production, and a slump in the global prices has hit the government's revenue, despite the country producing more than 100,000 barrels of oil per day. Talks between the government and the unions have stalled, as the lecturers say they are not willing to go back unless their arrears are paid.
At the University of N'Djamena, we are still behind teaching the 2016 curriculum. It's been over 3 weeks, almost a month, since the strike. So it has affected the academic year. So if the government decides to resolve the problem, then we will try to catch up on the academic year.
The International Monetary Fund expects Chad's economy to contract by 1.1% this year because of the weak oil market and regional insecurity. Analysts say the socio-economic situation in the country has also been diminished by budget mismanagement.
We need to recognize that there was a lack of planning. The plans were things that will be done in 2030. We are planning for big infrastructure projects, which will take time because the country is large. If Chad was a small country like Equatorial Guinea, then if what has been budgeted for infrastructure was put into other sectors, then it will make Chad a great country.
Chad has become an important ally of the West in the fight against Islamist militants in West Africa. A former French colony, Chad hosts the headquarters of France's regional anti-militant operation known as Barkhane and its 3,000 troops. Chad's army, one of the region's strongest, now plays a key role in efforts to combat neighboring Nigeria's Boko Haram, an Islamic State affiliate. It also confronts attacks by the group on its own soil.
Still to come on Network Africa. Our tech segment takes a look at refining e-commerce on the continent. Please stay with us.